Welcome to the 2-minute introduction to AI Harmony. First note is, what is AI? An operational definition we might use is AI is all about decision making. Whether we're generating text, deciding on what the next word is, generating images, deciding what pixels to paint which colors, classifying images, documents, videos, prioritizing, summarizing, it's all about making decisions. AI is now generated. The rules of AI are generated from big data. We used to hard code rules in. So for example, in 97, when Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov in chess, the rules of chess were hard coded. Deep Blue, in a brute force method, tried every chess move to beat Kasparov. Nowadays, we use data and let the machine infer the rules. So the job of a programmer of AI today is very different than it was previously. We're doing kind of data janitoring. And it might immediately follow that for most models, garbage data in means garbage outcomes for AI. And that's generally true, with a couple of exceptions. Sometimes, especially in generative models, even if we feed it garbage, it can give us new perspectives. For example, a recent paper by two of my professors, Terschwitz and Ulrich from Wharton School, they pinned ChatGPT against Wharton MBAs and had them ideate. Let's make business ideas. Let's come up with 100 business ideas. And they ran their innovation tournament, which is what they're known for. The ChatGPT ideas won. And even though ChatGPT is kind of trained from garbage, it's trained on the whole internet and around emails, kind of whatever data was laying around is what it's trained on. So for creative decisions, garbage in, garbage out is not always necessarily true because it can give us a new perspective. For critical decisions, let's say like self-driving, we can't train on bad data. Otherwise, we're going to have really bad outcomes. So garbage in, garbage out is true, but mostly for critical decision making. For creative decision making, creative uses of AI, maybe garbage is okay. Maybe garbage can be useful. Another thing we do, and I talk a lot about in the book, is leveraging transfer learning. So a lot of people have an AI project and they're like, how do I get started? So for example, the book launched last night, there was a team working on augmented reality. And they wanted, in these headsets, they want to make a model to say, is the person looking in this headset, are they paying attention or are they drifting off into space? Well, how would you start with that model? You can collect a bunch of data on users, but they don't have users and they don't have money to collect that data. So how would you do it? Well, a couple things. One is, I know, for example, in my mom's car, she's a new Honda, there's a good model for at least a model for looking at driver awareness. The driver is looking at the road. So if that model is out there somewhere that you can steal or copy, maybe you start with a model like that. You put it in and you collect your own data on top of it to improve that model. Now, maybe you can't get that model. What's another thing you could do? Maybe you could use an image generation tool to generate an image. This is very doable, right? Here's a default image of a person with a VR, AR headset on. Now, you tell the image generator, make this person look bored, make them look sleepy. And maybe you generate a bunch of images to train your model on and then improve your model from there. And this is how most models start. And sometimes it's difficult to be an early adopter of AI tools because sometimes they're doing transfer learning, so transferring from a different domain, right, cars or image generation, to this very particular topic. And then as you vote thumbs up, thumbs down, or they do the refining of their data, their model gets better and better. So I talk a lot about transfer learning. It's a thing we need to understand as users, leverage as developers of AI tools. Another thing we need to navigate, which I talk about a lot, is concept drift. The idea that the nature of truth changes, and maybe this is clearest in the modern mind in something like hate speech or bullying, right? We try and catch up all the time to bullying, misinformation, fraud. We make models to detect them, but the way people do fraud, or the way people bully each other, the way the language that we use to taunt each other, I guess, online changes. So the truth and whether something is hate speech or not kind of changes over time. It changes pretty rapidly. In my earlier career, kind of creating algorithmic trading algorithms, so somebody say, okay, I back tested this thing, now I'm going to let it loose and let it trade the stock market. And it's like, Okay, great. Let's monitor that thing very closely and maybe run it for a couple of weeks. And how long is the actual shelf life of that model? You can imagine somebody created a stock trading model that worked really well for the decade of 2000 to 2010. They're like, okay, let's let it run today. And they're like, no, 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 no. The nature of truth in the stock market has changed. That's called concept. Um, Another thing I talk about is UI and UX for AI, which maybe sounds crazy, but let's talk about like putting humans in the loop, right? We said garbage in, garbage out, maybe obvious. Putting humans in the loop is another thing. Like, hey, I want to use ChatGPT to help me write my emails, but I'm going to make sure I review my emails before I send them. Like, okay, that's a human in the loop. The AI's doing most of the work, and I'm babysitting it. There are a couple of instances where this is a really bad idea, and one of them is semi-autonomous driving. I'll just go on a link and say semi-autonomous driving is just stupid, right? I support fully autonomous cars. I think there's a lot of infrastructure changes that need to be made. I discussed this pretty thoroughly in the book, but imagine this scenario and the user experience of this, where you have a level 3 self-driving, so not fully autonomous vehicle driving down the road. Maybe you're drinking, you're eating, you might be engaged in romantic activity in the front seat or watching Netflix, who knows? But you're driving, and the car at a critical moment is going to say, "Oh, wake up! I'm about to hit something. You take the wheel." Both for because I don't know what I'm going to do, and for liability reasons, you need to take the wheel and drive. Kind of a ridiculous user experience, and I think pretty dangerous. We need to think about UI and UX in AI, which this is a fact of life. And even before we get into ethics and job replacement and all this other stuff, UI UX is super important. Um, and I talk about Skynet and autonomous weapons as well. Another point where UI UX actually matters, right? Where are we really creating an autonomous weapon, or is it a landmine? Or if we have a semi-autonomous nuclear weapon that's AI powered, is it really just autonomous because we can't respond fast enough? Right? We have milliseconds to respond, and if we hook it up to AI, like what are the chances of disaster? Let's say. So I don't think AI creates these problems. I think these problems already existed with humans in particular, like what happens when people are driving poorly, or what happens if we give one person all the nuclear codes. But AI certainly makes them more visible. Cybersecurity, misinformation, all this stuff. Things I talk about in many case studies. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you try it. I think AI Harmony is meant to end on a happy note. I think let's play with these tools, let's understand them, and let's meet it most of the way there. I think, or not most of the way there. Let AI do 90% of the work. Let's meet it 10% of the way there. I think I'll end by saying AI is not a good butler. Like if you're comparing ChatGPT or Siri or something, right, to having a butler or a great secretary, AI is going to fail. But you think, okay, wait, GPT-4 can pass the bar exam and the medical boards and score way higher than, let's say, your average secretary on the SATs or something like that. And would you not want to hire and use that employee if you could, even though they're a little bit quirky to work with? So use it, improve it, but also understand it. I think we're in an age now where we got to be a little bit nerdy in order to make this stuff work. So I hope I inoculate you all. I hope you read it. I hope you like it, and please reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks.